It is said that God is dead. If this is so, then in the vacant halls atop his ruined foundations, the modern world has built a new idol. We have come to venerate the myth of progress, to raise humans above other creatures, to proclaim ourselves unique in the world as masters of our own destiny, twisting Darwinism into dogma to lend credence to this arrogant idea that we are the goal of evolution, that only we can make a better tomorrow. No matter how dark today might be, you must always focus on progressing into tomorrow. But progress is a lie, as much of a superstition as the gods we so readily decry as dead. Progress does not exist in the wider world. A species does not evolve towards a predetermined goal, but merely adapts to its current circumstance. What was of great use to one generation is redundant and lost to the next. And just as with evolutionary adaptations, knowledge is not compounded. There is no great chronicler of all things that ensures that we always drudge ever onward in our linear progression. The modern world labors on to find new things faster and faster without ever truly understanding each new innovation, slaves to the faith that more things, more power, more knowledge will free us from our fears, deliver us from our wants and forgive our guilt. Knowledge is power, but it does not set us free. It leaves us where we have always been, lost and vulnerable as ever. This modern, secular faith of conceptual ideals is as blind and blinding as the archaic religions of old. It shields us from realizing that fundamentally the world is no different in the present than it was in the past, and the future will be no different. The creeping darkness of the soul from which we have cowered since time immemorial will persist as long as we do. This is the horror of the human condition. We have come to believe that the meaning of our lives is action, for each of us to change the world, to save the world from all of other human evils. We cannot save the world. The world does not need us to save it. The world will endure long after we are all nothing but shadows and dust. We do not need to be saving the planet. We need to be saving ourselves. Forget about putting your faith into a mythical, brighter tomorrow, and get back to working on the best way to lead our lives today. Because in the end, we are only important to ourselves.
You know, if one thing's wrong with the world, it's all them uppity feminists messing with the natural order of things. Going on and on about equal pay and women's rights, blah, blah, blah. Hell, we even got one woman trying to run for president now. Next thing you know, we'll have a goddamn queen and we'll all turn into crumpet-eating British fags, walking around saying pip, pip. Shit, my cousin went over to England last year, couldn't even find a single can of Budweiser in the whole damn country. That just ain't right.
Although the impetus that draws us to the fandom has been evident in art and literature for centuries, the fandom's world as it exists today is a thoroughly and almost distressingly modern one. Through the nature of our expression and our means of communication, we are drawn into an environment where the harsh philosophies of the modern blind us to the unrealistic ideals which jar with our instinctive feelings. And yet so many of us don't even dare to think there could be any alternative. The modern ideal is one of pure individualism. Nothing can be more important than ourselves. Everything we do is to fulfill or reinforce our ideal of self. That which is essentially you is kept separate from the rest of the world, untouchable and unchangeable, defined only by itself. The world exists to serve us and nothing more. The world and your actions in it do not constitute who you are. The idea that something outside of ourselves, something beyond our control, could possibly be more important than the self, something so important we would fundamentally not be the same without it, is an impossibility in the purely modern world. In such a world we are nothing but ghosts to each other, nothing but far cries on distant islands. To be truly modern is to be truly alone. To be truly modern means ascribing to an idea that we can feel without doing. In this bleak view, love and happiness become nothing more than sensations that can be divorced from any corresponding action. But how many of us honestly believe that can work? You may claim you are in love with someone. You may even honestly feel it. But if you do nothing, how long will that feeling last? Simple feelings alone are not enough. They will fade and die without action, just as actions without feeling are nothing more than hollow, undermining gestures. To follow the modern view of happiness as a mere fleeting feeling is to hold it as a brief spark in an unending sea of dark misery. It is to regard happiness as nothing more than a buzz from a drug. If you honestly believe that, then you have no reason to angst online about your loneliness or lack of lovers. All you need to do is dope yourself up and spend your nights alone with a stack of porn. But if such short-term fixes aren't enough for you, consider for a moment that happiness is more than an induced side effect. Think of it as an unbreakable symbiosis of mutually reinforcing feelings and deeds. Happiness as a way of being. Cease your crying like a baby for its bottle. Get out there and do something to make yourself happy. Immanuel Kant once described life as nasty, brutish, and short. Bleak, perhaps, but the man had a point to which you may further add futile and insignificant. It is against this blasphemous nightmare backdrop, this tableau of existential torment, which we must play out our day-to-day existence. To a greater or lesser extent, we are all aware of this chilling primordial horror. It is a knowledge that can only bring madness and ruin to any mind foolhardy or unfortunate enough to directly contemplate it. And yet it is starkly evident in every waking moment. It is one of the many struggles of life with which we must all battle. We all deal with it in our own ways. Some turn to drink or drugs for escape. Others just go mad. But most simply create their own fervent fictions. Primarily and most common is the misplaced belief that we are, in some strange way, important. Insanity manifest in paranoia. Perhaps this is the source of all the online drama we see. As ugly as most of it is, one must admire the blind optimism of it all. It is more pleasant by far to believe that everyone is out to get us and talking about us behind our back than to believe that we are an insignificant nobody whom no one gives a damn about. So we make our fictions, we make ourselves important, the hard done-by, unwaveringly virtuous protagonist of our own livelong story. It may not be true, but it is this irrational fiction that allows us to shatter our rational mind's ability to fully correlate its contents, to deliver to consciousness the revelation of just how small and fragile our existence really is. We are adrift on a dark, raging sea, shielded from moment to precarious moment by little more than random chance than any form of providence. Horrors abound, we throw ourselves further into madness, in a vain effort to preserve what our society deems as sanity. There is no point driving yourself insane, merely in an effort not to go mad. Yes, existence is unjust, it is cruel, it is a perverse thing. All the more reason to roll with it and enjoy every shining moment, all the way to the inevitable terminal climax. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die.